Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Today, we are tearing into the blueprint that separates, predictable growth from catastrophic launches. I'm talking about the go-to-market strategy, or GTM. If you are a professional looking for a strategic framework that eliminates guesswork and stops you from pouring millions into an unproven idea, you are definitely in the right place. We are diving deep into the foundation for accelerated efficiency.
That is the perfect way to frame it. A GTM is so much more than a document. It's a rigorous step-by-step playbook that forces alignment across functions. It fundamentally ties a product's capabilities directly to deeply understood buyer needs, and, most importantly, it establishes a clear, measurable path to predictable revenue. Our analysis today is built entirely around the insights from the Go-to-Market Strategy Playbook written by Felix Römer of SmartKeys.org.
So our mission today is really to extract the strategic insights that modern professionals need to avoid those common, really costly launch failures. The GTM process, as defined in the source, it serves as a high-leverage risk mitigation tool. The goal is to stress test every critical assumption you hold about demand, about competition, messaging, before you decide to scale up your spend. It ensures your entry into a new market is intentional and, data-driven, not chaotic.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Before we even get into the components, we have to address a really foundational confusion. What exactly is a GTM strategy, and how does it fundamentally differ from a standard marketing plan? I mean, people use these terms interchangeably all the time.
They do, and it's a crucial distinction. The easiest way to think about it is really scope and timing. The GTM is the comprehensive, high-level, the blueprint.
The blueprint.
Exactly. It's the strategy you build before you enter a market, launch a product, or target a new segment. It covers all the major decisions: your pricing structure, distribution, overall positioning, and how you align sales and product. So it's setting the strategic boundaries and defining who owns what, across the entire company.
Precisely. It defines company-wide ownership and sets the foundational value you are selling. Now, the marketing plan. That's the operation. What's the operational document that maps out the daily execution? Which channels you'll use, the specific content campaigns you'll run, the budget for those campaigns.
And if the GTM is the strategic plan, the marketing plan is kind of the engine that runs within that structure.
That's it, exactly. The marketing plan lives inside the GTM strategy, and it continues long after the initial launch. When these two interlock, the GTM provides that high-level strategy and ensures cross-functional alignment, making sure product, sales, and marketing are all targeting the same ideal customer profile. The marketing plan then takes that strategy and turns it into weekly, measurable execution.
And that alignment is what cuts down on all the costly rework and finger-pointing during a launch.
It's everything.
Okay, now we get to the core. The playbook really emphasizes starting with intense validation. You can't just assume demand exists. So if we're building this blueprint, what are the essential, the non-negotiable components we have to define first?
Right. Validation is the ultimate cost saver. The core framework starts with 4 non-negotiables that prove demand and help you design a repeatable process. First one, product market fit and problem urgency. You confirm demand through, usage signals, initial pilot revenue, qualitative feedback. But the crucial test here, and the source really stresses this, is urgency.
The classic painkiller, not a vitamin rule. It's an immediate gut check. But how does a professional practically test that? I mean, many products feel urgent to their creators.
You have to test it by observing behavior. Is the customer willing to pay you immediately? Are they actively building some costly, cumbersome workaround because the problem is just that painful? If the product is a vitamin, something that's nice to have but easily deferrable, that signals low urgency. A GTM for a vitamin has to pause and iterate. Or you risk burning cash scaling something people just don't urgently need.
So that makes the test outcome-based, not just based on opinion. Once we confirm we're solving a burning pain, we need to know who's buying the Tylenol.
Exactly. Next is defining the target audience, your ICPs and personas. And you have to go way beyond simple demographics. First, you define the ideal customer profile, the ICP, by segmenting the market based on clear factors: industry, company size, budget, geography. Then, and this is where the real depth comes in, you build layered buyer personas.
But ICPs take time. If you're an early-stage company, isn't it better just to launch quickly and let the market tell you who the customers are?
That's such a common pitfall. Launching without defined ICPs means you're just wasting precious resources marketing to everyone, which really means you're marketing to no one efficiently. The layering of personas is the key. You map the entire buying center, the initiator who sees the problem, the gatekeeper who screens solutions, the decision maker who signs the check, and the user who actually needs the tool.
I see. So profiling each role's specific pain points allows sales to target the right message to the right person.
That's it. That level of detail aligns your content specifically to those high-intent segments. You're not wasting a decision maker's time with technical specs that are meant for the user. And once you know who you're selling to and why it hurts, then you can formulate the message.
Which brings us to component number 3, the value proposition and messaging.
Yes, and this needs to be structured. The playbook recommends using the value matrix. Think of it like a grid. Vertically, you list your key buyer personas. Horizontally, you map their top pain points, the exact product value delivered for that pain, and then finally, the single, tight headline message that's tailored to that specific persona.
That structure prevents that generic, watered-down messaging you see everywhere.
Absolutely. It forces you to lean into the urgency, to agitate the pain, and position your offer as the perfect solution for that specific role. And crucially, the mandate here is testing. You have to A/B test your messages and measure conversion, not just rely on internal opinions about what sounds best. Data wins.
And finally, we need the plumbing in place, how the product actually gets to them and how we sell it.
That's the fourth component, distribution and sales model choices. You pick your distribution channels: direct, partner network, retail based on where your audience already is, where they expect to buy.
Right.
And then you have to match your sales motions, self-service, inside sales, field sales to the product's complexity and its average contract value, or ACV.
That ACV link is so fundamental. You just can't afford a 6-month sales cycle for a $50 product.
Exactly. If your ACV is low, say 10 or 20 bucks a month, your sales motion has to be highly automated. A vending machine, basically. Self-service. If your ACV is $250,000, then you need high-touch, dedicated field sales. Aligning that is critical to reducing buyer friction and making sure your acquisition costs are sustainable.
This all sounds like a really heavy strategic lift, but the payback is obviously tremendous. This isn't just theory. So how does this formal GTM process help professionals gain efficiency and, maybe more importantly, accelerate the right growth metrics?
It creates a massive strategic advantage. First, you just move faster and cheaper.
Faster and cheaper.
Yeah. Clarity on goals and roles cuts down on logistical blockers. No more waiting for a resource or a decision because the roles are defined. This dramatically reduces your time to market. And on the money side, you control costs by prioritizing only the highest ROI channels. You trim the low-impact marketing spend that often balloons in chaotic launches.
So it forces a kind of fiscal discipline from day one. But let's get into the metrics. What are the critical unit economics that every team, from product to sales, should be tracking from the moment they pilot this?
You have to standardize around the core unit economics.
Right.
I'm talking customer acquisition cost, or CAC, lifetime value LTV conversion rates across the funnel, and sales cycle length. And the critical part is linking your company's SMART goals and OKRs directly to these KPIs. If the company goal is 20% growth, every team needs to know how their daily tasks impact those conversion rates or that sales cycle.
That alignment is so key. Let's talk about the relationship between those numbers, because just tracking them isn't enough. If our CAC is high, is the answer to increase LTV, or do we first need to optimize conversions to make acquisition cheaper?
That's a strategic question every GTM has to answer. Ideally, your LTV should be at least 3 times your CAC. If your CAC is high, you have 2 levers. Either you aggressively improve conversion rates in your funnel to acquire customers more cheaply, or you have to enhance your product to drastically increase LTV through better retention or upsells. Your GTM strategy gives you the roadmap to pull those levers in a sequenced, prioritized order. Without it, teams are just flailing.
So tracking is one thing, but how do you operationalize this? How do you make sure the plan actually translates into predictable outcomes? A plan in a drawer is useless.
You need structured tools. You need processes that make the GTM live and breathe. That means implementing structured product and marketing roadmaps that highlight milestones and, crucially, clear any blockers. You need standard operating procedures, SOPs, for all repeatable work. For instance, an SOP defining the exact handoff for a qualified lead between marketing and sales is vital.
Right, so the SOPs eliminate any ambiguity in those complex handoffs.
Exactly. You centralize collaboration and tools so everyone sees the dependencies in real time. And finally, you connect real-time analytics platforms, Google Analytics, or something more sophisticated like Mixpanel, directly to your goals. Your dashboards should show you CAC and pipeline velocity instantly, ensuring that decisions are driven by data, not just gut feelings from senior management.
Sometimes the best way to grasp a strategy is just to see it executed flawlessly. The playbook gives two fantastic, really diverse examples. Let's start with one of the most famous turnarounds, Apple's iMac G3 launch back in '98.
The iMac G3 launch was a masterclass in using design as a primary marketing asset combined with incredibly bold positioning. Steve Jobs targeted loyal users, first-time buyers, and curious PC owners who were, frankly, tired of beige boxes. The positioning wasn't about tech specs. It was simple and cultural. Cheek, not geek.
And the physical design itself, that translucent, brightly colored shell, was completely different from anything else on the market at the time.
Oh, it was revolutionary. The Bondi Blue case, the built-in internet access, and a focused $100 million integrated launch campaign made the product feel modern, approachable, and impossible to ignore. They created a visceral experience. The takeaway here is that sometimes the physical design or the demo moment is the strongest marketing asset you have.
Okay, now let's look at a completely different approach, one that won purely through smart distribution, Oatly's entry into the U.S. market.
Oatly executed a brilliant, really counterintuitive GTM. They avoided massive, expensive traditional advertising at first. They realized their target audience, urban, health-conscious, trend-setting consumers, could be reached most effectively in a very specific context. So they focused almost entirely on getting the product into artisanal coffee shops in major cities.
That's fascinating. They basically outsourced their initial sampling to expert baristas.
Precisely. They focused on barista buy-in. The baristas became the product evangelists, letting consumers experience the product's core value, how it performs in a latte in a low-friction, high-trust environment. This created instant trial moments, built rapid organic awareness, and generated social media buzz that traditional advertising just couldn't have bought.
So it proves that distribution, when it's strategically focused, can be an even more powerful asset than messaging alone.
Yeah.
These examples really confirm the central idea. Successful launches rely on one or two concentrated, high-leverage moves that let customers experience the value immediately. This has been incredibly insightful. It really boils down strategic chaos into clear, actionable decisions. It's so clear that failure often comes from skipping the hard work in this GTM phase.
So what does this all mean for our listener who is ready to take action? If we had to boil this whole playbook down to a single high-leverage action, what should they prioritize? Well, the common pitfalls: unclear messaging, skipping validation, underestimating customer acquisition cost, they're all symptoms of launching without proof. So the key practical advice, the single highest leverage action, is to prioritize rapid, measurable validation.
So don't wait for perfection.
Exactly. Before you commit to a full, costly rollout, run small, measurable experiments. Set up dedicated landing pages with targeted ads, execute beta trials with clear revenue metrics, run small pilot deals. You have to track the conversion rates and retention metrics from these small bets. A well-crafted GTM strategy has to be adaptive. It uses customer data from these small experiments to iterate and pivot the plan as the market changes. It shifts the focus from getting it perfect to learning the fastest.
That minimizes sunk costs and ensures resources are always flowing toward proven demand. What's the final provocative thought for our listener to consider?
It's this: small bets and fast feedback protect your business and keep the company moving toward real value. A true go-to-market blueprint is never finished. It's a living document that continually optimizes for durable, predictable growth, not just the initial launch hype.
That is a powerful and really actionable note to end on. Thank you for walking us through the strategic foundation of a successful launch playbook.
My pleasure. And if you found these insights valuable, we highly encourage you to gain an even deeper understanding by reading the original source material, the Go-to-Market Strategy Playbook for Successful Launches and Beyond. The level of detail on constructing the value matrix and mapping those KPIs is exceptional. It's highly actionable.
And remember, the direct link to the full article can be found right now in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. Be sure to subscribe for future insights on the future of work and business efficiency.